Time now for the Bud Light Kentucky Basketball Postgame Show on ESPN Louisville Plus. Cats coverage also presented by Cox's and Evergreen Liquors, your neighborhood liquor store. Kentucky branded, your home for all things Kentucky. Carriage Ford, best by a country mile. Bear Nose Pizza, yeah, it's that good. BJ Heating and Cooling, call the experts you can trust. Barnes Auto Service, reliable repairs from bumper to bumper. Ale 8, Kentucky's original soft drink since 1926. And UPS Jobs, apply today, upsjobs.com/worldport. Now, here are your hosts, TJ Walker and Zach Cantrell.
Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday to you, March 7th, 2026. This is the Bud Light Kentucky postgame show on ESPN Louisville Plus. I am TJ Walker, and I am riding solo on this Saturday edition, our 1st of March in 2026, as Zach Cantrell, the birthday boy, is taking off and enjoying his birthday. Make sure on social medias you wish him a happy birthday. He deserves a day off. He's out drinking. I think he's at Tailspin, if I'm not mistaken. He was really excited to watch wrestling. Just one thing as a grown adult that I'm never going to be able to get into. That's fine if you can get into it. I'm not judging you. If you want to watch a bunch of grown adults get all greased up and go through a script of wrestling and getting their hands on each other, you're more than welcome to. And I know that that's how Zach wanted to spend his birthday, and he's got every right to spend it however he wants. So it's just me today, and maybe possibly a little Justin Sofuro here on the Bud Light Kentucky postgame show. He's going to be your ticket into the show. You're going to need to send him a direct message on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We don't care, but just slide into those DMs at Justin Sofuro, and we can get you on the show. It'll just be your voice. It'll just be like the call-in version. But U of L baseball in this pesky weather has pushed us over to ESPN Louisville Plus. But, Justin, we're very appreciative. This wouldn't be happening without you. Otherwise, there'd be no postgame show on UK's regular season finale, senior day edition of the Bud Light postgame show. And, maybe avoiding talking about it because Kentucky loses 84-77. The Gators come into Rupp Arena, jump out to an 11-0 lead, and never look back. We're going to talk about that, what it means for UK. Justin, you slid on in. Now slide on back in, buddy. Get on back here. I'm sorry. I should have thrown it to you when you slid in the first time. But what's up? We're going to talk about the game. But, yes, let people know how they get in touch with the show and whatever else is on your mind today.
No, you're good. Yeah, just do me a favor. Just slide on into them DMs, and I'll give you just a little tidbit of how I got impregnated today by the Louisville basketball team. I'm back at it. I'm excited. Louisville beat a quad 1A opponent for the first time in the final game of the regular season. No, I'm not going to do all that to you. But today, yeah, definitely, if you want to get your opinions, your thoughts, everything about the game that was and now wrapping the regular season of the Wildcats, slide into my DMs. I'll give you that contact number. You can get in and get on the air with TJ and talk all about the Cats and Mark Pope, and you can say Fire Pope and all that. You can get all that on the air, so just do that, and we will get you on as soon as possible. Appreciate it.
I feel like you're not a true radio host unless you make comparisons to, like, girlfriends or relationships or maybe dogs or something like that. And that's where I'm going to go with this. Kentucky loses 84-77, and not surprising that they lost. I think the spread was 6.5 or 7.5, depending. I think it maybe even got down to 5.5 by tip-off. But wherever you got it, it was somewhere in that 3-point range here. And Kentucky loses by 5. They end up losing by 5. And they're in that game late. It's complicated, right? Because Florida was leading the entire game. You don't want to say that, that was a super competitive game. However, late in the game, and this was similar to the first meeting down in Gainesville, late in the game, Kentucky had its chances, but you needed Florida to really goof. You needed them to go ice cold from free throws. They didn't, unfortunately. You needed them to maybe have a silly turnover. They nearly did. We'll talk about that. But you just needed them to make a mistake because of all the mistakes you made earlier in the game. You weren't in a position to be able to close this one out. And going back to the old radio cliches and comparisons, I'm not surprised, obviously, that they lost, especially as underdogs, like I said. Florida is playing as one of the best teams in the country and maybe the best team in the country, they're really knocking on the door to be a 1 seed. And if any of the teams ahead of them slip up in the conference tournament, they will be a 1 seed or they'll be the number 1, 2 seed. But they're really gearing up to make it back-to-back Final Fours and potentially like 06 and 07, potentially back-to-back national championships. They're really good. So there's no shame necessarily in losing to Florida. And I don't think that's necessarily the storyline. And I didn't get my hopes up expecting Kentucky to come in to win this one. But it's almost like when you just kind of know a relationship is over and maybe even both of you all have moved on. But then you see like a social media post, or maybe you see them kissing somebody else out at the bar, or maybe you see like a social media post of them dating somebody else. And it's like, oh, okay, it's over. Like if there was any chance, if there was any sort of like last minute Disney miracle, it's not happening now. We've got our confirmation that it's not happening. And that's what today was for me, I suppose. I didn't think this team was going to go to a Final Four or it was going to do anything, but Florida is as I've established, a legit contender. Kentucky's obviously not. If you were able to take care of business today at Rupp Arena on senior day against a legit top 5 team, and I'm going to get to one big caveat here, that would have said a lot to me. That would have said, all right, you know what? This regular season has been bumpy as it gets, but this team in a big spot, they get a big win. Why can't they do that in March? Why can't, if they're a 7 seed, why can't they beat a 2 seed? If they're a 6 seed, they certainly can beat a 3 seed and maybe even make a little bit of a run. If they happen to be an 8 seed, not impossible they could beat a 1 seed if we had seen them beat Florida today. And of course they didn't. But on top of all of that, the most frustrating part about today and the loss, again, no shame in losing to Florida, but it was so much on the line. Forget about senior day, which I think that's only the 7th senior day loss in the history of Kentucky basketball. So that just is something that doesn't happen all that frequently. If UK didn't play a bum LSU team last year, who knows? Pope could potentially be 0-2 on senior days at Rupp, but he's 1-1. They got a blowout win last year. But not just the senior day aspect. You know, it's not the end of the world if you lose on senior day. It doesn't happen often at UK. But the SEC tournament scenarios, and I know there's a portion of this UK fan base, I think it's the smaller portion, that doesn't necessarily care about the SEC tournament or the seeding aspect of the SEC tournament. Maybe to put it more appropriately, they care about the SEC tournament. They just aren't going to lose their mind over seeds. But I don't know how you can't lose your mind a little bit over seeds when, if Kentucky wins today, everything went UK's way in the SEC. Everything broke UK's way. If they win today, they're the 4 seed, and you're starting your SEC tournament journey on Friday. You're in the 3:30 game on Friday. UK fans can flood Nashville, have a good time. You're 1 win against Vanderbilt away from playing on Saturday in the SEC tournament. You would be playing Florida again, which that's a tall challenge, and it would, again, if you were a 5.5 or a 6.5 point dog at home at Rupp Arena, you'd probably be a legitimate 10.5 or a 9.5 point dog in Nashville against Florida. But you never know. It'd be their second game in as many days. It'd be your second game in as many days. Who knows? That was on the line for Kentucky tonight. And then let alone a top 5, top 10 win over Florida on the Selection Sunday resume really probably would have locked you in to that 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. At absolute worst, the 7 seed. Now, I don't think a 10 seed is totally off the table. And for what it's worth, I'd rather be a 10 seed in the NCAA tournament. I am fairly certain UK is locked in to the 10 seed in the SEC tournament. If Oklahoma were to go into Austin and upset Texas, then I believe Kentucky would be the 9 seed. But they're playing on Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, with so much on the line for Kentucky basketball. You win, and you're getting to go on Saturday, or you're getting to play on Friday, with a good chance to play on Saturday, and you lose, and instead Kentucky's journey will be starting on Wednesday, which happens to be my birthday, Justin. So Zach doesn't work on his birthday. I will be doing some work on my birthday. Maybe working from home potentially will be
another March birthday. All right. Yeah, I also
March is where it's at. I love my birthday. It's been a Selection Sunday birthday. UK has played on my birthday. However, I'm not totally thrilled, if we're being honest, about them playing on my birthday this year, Justin.
I hate to interject with this, but just I want you to know this. While you can have, the birthdays that were, Selection Sunday and all that, that's fine. My birthday is March 29th. I cannot tell you how many birthdays were ruined by losses to Kentucky versus John Calipari, by Michigan State losses. One good one where the Duke, where Kevin Ware did break his leg, but like something like that happened. But otherwise, for the most part,
there had to be UNC probably provided some heartbreak on your birthday, right? Didn't you have an Elite Eight UNC loss back in the day?
Yes, that was my senior year of high school, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that sounds about right. That was against Hansborough after they beat.
You're a little later in the March game, but March birthdays, shout out to them. They're the best. And on top of it all, with so much to play, so much on the line, you get an 11-0 hole, Justin, after that terrible stretch, which was the talk of the Bluegrass for the last 5 days. That terrible stretch at A&M, 30-3 or whatever the hell it was. It was so GD awful. Yeah, you don't want to remember it, but it's sadly hard to forget. You come out and you allow the opponent to go on a big run. And by the way, you lose by 7 points. Okay, they updated the scoreboard on the final box score. 84-77 was the final. Kentucky loses by 7. You know what? If you don't have that terrible start, who knows how things go. And it was a weird game. It felt like Florida was playing with its food a little bit there in the second half. But on the flip side, they were really having a tough time getting some shots to fall. They were not shooting well there in the second half. And I'll get some numbers here for you. I want to see what they finished, because at one point they were 31%. Oh, it went down from that point. So they shot 30% in the second half. And it felt like Kentucky just make some shots, and you can be in this game. And unfortunately for UK fans, they only shot 40%, which was better than in the first half, but only 3 threes in the second half, 23% from deep in the second half. It was there for the taking. And the long and short of it, and it doesn't make for a very good Bud Light postgame show here on ESPN 680, TJ Walker, Justin Sofuro. Slide into his DMs on X and social media if you'd like to get in touch with the show. That's the easiest way to go about it. Justin, why can't I find what's your Twitter handle? It's right here on the page.
It's at Justin Sofer. We do have a few people already ready to go.
Yeah, we're going to get to them here in just a moment. But get in touch with the show. We appreciate you listening today. But Kentucky had its chances, but it doesn't make for a very entertaining post-game show when I simply put this: Florida has the talent that Kentucky should have. Honestly, they have the coaching that Kentucky should have. That is what a title contending team looks like. What Kentucky has, and maybe injuries play a role. Again, bang the gong. I have to say it. You got to say maybe injuries. You got to mention the injuries. It is a real thing. I'm sick of doing it. I'm so sick of doing it, but you got to mention the injuries. Injuries play a role in this, but Florida is how it should look. They've been the class of the SEC, and a pretty loaded SEC the last few years. It doesn't look too hard for them, does it? That's the way that it should look. That's the standards that Kentucky basketball has to have. Oh, you're going into an opposing gym on their senior day in a game that they really have to win. Sound familiar, UK fans? Yeah, it just happened on Tuesday. Sound familiar? And what does Florida do? They just come in and they punch Kentucky in the mouth and they say, hey, guys, this is how it's going to be. We're Florida basketball. We're the defending national champs. I don't care about your all's history. This is how it's going to be for the next 40 minutes. Get used to it. And Kentucky just has to sit back. Well, we can't make a shot. Things aren't going our way. Oh, no, it's another bad stretch. And I'm sick of it. But I can't get that mad about it because I'm just not surprised. If you're still getting super upset or mad about this team, it's on you at this point. And the truth is, we've probably only got maybe only 2 more games with them. They're going to win on Wednesday in the SEC tournament. That's one thing that I can guarantee you. Now, the unfortunate thing about this team is they can't put a team away. So it'll be a difficult game. It'll probably be like a 12-point buffer zone game, which I think they'll play LSU, I believe. It could be Ole Miss. Yeah, LSU or Ole Miss. It depends maybe what Ole Miss does against Texas A&M. South Carolina goes on the road and wins at Ole Miss, so I think that takes them out of the. You're going to play the 15 seed on that infamous Wednesday game that Kentucky, in the history of UK basketball, has never played. Now we get to check that box, Mark Pope, another piece of nice history. He understands the assignment, everybody. Fear not. But unless Oklahoma beats Texas, which isn't going to happen, Kentucky will be the 10 seed. They'll play at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, March 11th in the SEC tournament. And then I believe it'll be Alabama is the 2 seed. So you'll have Alabama waiting for you on, hold on. Forget about Alabama. As the 10 seed, you'd have to get through the 7 seed on Thursday. I'm getting ahead of my skis here a little bit, folks. I apologize. But I did the SEC tournament scenarios on my phone. Allow me to get those pulled up. I'll get to those here in just a moment. In the meantime, Justin, can you put Bug on?
He's here.
Hey, Bug, welcome in. You're with TJ Walker and Justin Sofuro on the Bud Light Kentucky postgame show, ESPN 680, ESPN Louisville Plus. What's up, Bug?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, happy early birthday. The old lady's birthday is on Wednesday also. And my birthday's today. So,
happy birthday, Bug. A March
happy birthday.
Let's go, baby. It should have been a celebratory day for you. I'm sorry that UK basketball continues to let everybody down.
I'm not going to go on a big rant today. I just want to give a big shout out to Pope for setting records that nobody else has set in Kentucky history before. We're playing on Wednesday. You know what I mean? That's a big accomplishment.
What do you think he's thinking, Bug? What do you think, Mark? Because he's not a dummy. Obviously, nobody thinks that he's dumb. He's in over his head, unfortunately. We all wish it'd work out for him, but he knows that, oh no, people wanted us to be a 1 seed. We're a 1 seed, all right. You just have to add another 0 to it. He knows. Yeah. I just wonder what he is thinking.
What did you see his face? Right, the buzzer was going off. They showed his face, and he was like, you could tell he was mad and he was worried, and I don't think he knows what to think. One thing he needs to do, he's got to hire a GM. You have to have somebody that is going to look at players and go after players all year long. That is their top priority, that actually understand the game and the money. You can, the way the college game is now, you cannot be like, oh, well, this player's not worth this or whatever, or we're not going to pay this player this. If he's worth it and somebody else is going to pay him that and he's the better player, we've got to do it, period. It's not players are coming here to play for Kentucky anymore. Nobody cares about that. The local kids do, but hell, we've not won a championship in 14 years. You know what I mean? We're not on anybody's radar. Cal's gone, so the whole getting all these players, the 5-star players, that's gone. Unless he brings somebody in and they know what these players want, what these players can do, and what we can provide financially for these players. That's the game now. It's a pro game. It's not college anymore. It is a farm team pro league is what it is.
Yeah, and that is, I think, the sobering thing about all this, Bug, is how far off Kentucky just seemingly is. And you have 0 recruits coming in. I hate to bring that up. And I've talked about the GM. If you're in sports radio or podcasting or message boarding or whatever it is, you've had a take on the GM. UK basketball should have a GM, and they should have the best GM available in college basketball because it's Kentucky basketball, and that's the way that it should go. Now, there's a lot of interesting, cloudy aspects of this. I've broken them down on Kentucky Roll Call, but I could go down the different avenues. Rick Pitino didn't have a good experience with the GM. So Mark Pope, I think, has some reservations about that because his Lord and Savior, Rick Pitino, had some issues with one. That's one thing. Two, people say, does Mitch Barnhart in UK and JMI, do they have some issues with the GM? That that Mark Pope, he really wants a GM, but Mitch Barnhart isn't as crazy about it. There are so many different avenues about what is actually true with Mark Pope and a GM that I don't truly know what is true, but at the end of the day, he doesn't have one. And UK doesn't have any recruits. And things really aren't working with the basketball program right now. So if it couldn't hurt, then they need to do it. Now, I will say this, one more thing, Bug, real quick. With the GM conversation, though, I do think it's a bit of a red flag. And I think anybody thinking that if Mark Pope just snaps his finger and has a GM and then the program's all of a sudden going to be a top 5 program, I just don't think that's going to be the case. Either this guy has the chops and he can get it done, or he can't. And he hasn't been able to show that he can get it done. He's gotten some nice standalone wins, which have been impressive, but he's also got some horribly embarrassing losses. So GM is just not going to magically fix those things. To go back to the couple thing, Bug, it's like if a girl or a boy in a relationship says, hey, you know what? Things have been kind of rough lately. I love you, though. I want to make this work. We've only been dating for a few months. Let's go see a therapist. And it's just like, oh, all right. Is the GM the therapist? Is the GM the couple's therapist here? Is it really going to make things better? Is it really going to make things better? I think it could help. But if Mark Pope is the guy, he'll be the guy whether he's got a GM or not. I just not so sure he's the guy, Bug.
And I completely agree with that. And that, again, falls back on some of the records that we've set here in the past 2 years. I mean, we're setting records that haven't been set in decades, and it's not good. It's the wrong records that we're setting. It's not the good ones. It's the bad ones, the losses, the 20-point losses, the games that we've been down by double digits. And like you said, he does win games that we don't think that we can win, but at the same time, the games that we should win, we don't win. So I guess, I mean, he's going to get another year regardless, but hopefully if he don't perform next year, the new athletic director has a set and we can actually move on and do what we need to do.
Yeah, Bug, I'm with you. Next year has to be the make or break, end all be all year. Injuries doesn't matter. If the injuries end up hurting him next year, that's going to be incredibly unfortunate and unlucky for Mark Pope. But next year has to be better, and not just the regular season needs to be better. Kentucky needs to truly compete for an SEC regular season championship. I mean, my goodness, playing on Wednesday, that's totally embarrassing. Hey, Bug, I'll let you have another like 20, 30 seconds, but we have Mark Pope, so we've got to play him. So any last words, buddy?
No, I'm good. I hope your birthday turns out a lot better than this one.
Well, happy birthday, buddy, and have a good one. We appreciate you calling in or sliding into the DMs. Be well. All right, we're going to throw it over to Mark Pope. Kentucky, with a win today, could have been a 4 seed in the SEC tournament, but they couldn't get it done, which has been the theme for Mark Pope at Kentucky. Let's hear what he has to say about it. The Mark Pope press conference brought to you by Ale 81, Kentucky's original ginger soft drink since 1926.
Sequences from them.
Yeah, we've done that sometimes to start games where we've been a little bit sticky and a little paralyzed, and they went to the post 2 straight possessions, and we their bigs really want to attack, come back to the baseline. We did a poor job on both those defensive possessions, and then we just didn't have any pace on the offensive end, so that was the start of the game. And then, the run later in the half was really tough for us, and we're just trying to figure out how to manage this. We make poor decisions when we're tired on the floor. We just do. We make poor decisions when we're tired on the floor. So trying to find out how to ameliorate that and fix it, and that's been a problem for us the last couple games, and we'll perform better than that, but that was really disappointing. It was just disappointing for us. We give up 19 points in the first half in transition, which is there's really two things you have to do with Florida. You have to rebound the ball, and you have to guard in transition. We did a poor job with that, and a lot of that was, part of it was turnovers, even though the turnover number in the first half wasn't crazy, it was 6, but part of it was just poor shot selection at the rim, which is what they do. And as much as we tried to communicate that and teach that to our team, I did a poor job of getting that messaging across because we continued to do it. So, that was part of it also, was we put ourselves in harm's way during that run just by poor offensive decision-making and some turnovers.
Mark, you're now at tournament time. What's the one thing you're really focused on? What's the one thing that has to get fixed?
For us, when we guard, we're actually pretty good. When we guard, we're good, and all facets of that have to be great for us. It's like we had just massive first half transition breakdowns, and that's tough. For a number of reasons. We're in a top wedge check 1, 2, 3, and still we just didn't do what we set out to do. And when we guard, we're in every game, and so it's really important for us.
Yeah, Mark, fans can look at the SEC and say, well, 5 wins, 5 days. How do you approach the mindset with your guys heading into a situation like that?
The great thing about the tournament is there's only one game. It's one game. So we'll talk about one game. That's all it is. Postseason is one game, and so we're going to prepare for one game on Wednesday, and we're going to put our whole heart and soul to it, and that's the only thing that matters to us, and that's the beauty of the postseason.
Coach, big picture, how do you feel the team has handled the attention and expectations of this season?
I think it's still a work in progress. Ask me when it's over.
Mark, you've talked about needing these guys to step up, especially some of the role players with the shortened roster and the quick turnarounds. Now that the games will kind of be back to back to back, Jasper tonight had a stretch there where he turned it over and then the intentional foul. How do you use those moments as a learning moment when you're going to have to play so many games back to back and short turnarounds because they'll have to play minutes?
I have a lot of faith in our guys. I got faith in Jasper and Trent and Mo and BG, and they're going to help us. They're going to play well. They've had stretches where they played well. They're going to have big minutes as we get into postseason. I have so much confidence in that.
Mark, they hold Colin to just 2 points tonight. Todd said that their big point of emphasis was to just make sure that he didn't get off threes. Does he have to be more of a 3-level scorer for you guys now that you guys have reached this time?
Yeah, I thought we did a poor job, man. We got, in the stretches in the first half, I just felt like we didn't initiate offense well at all. I was surprised. It's actually been a strength of ours is kind of getting into early offense, and I thought we were poor in that's space where it allows us to kind of, without doing a play call, allow Colin to run into some space, and I thought we did a poor job helping him as a team. But yeah, he's a major focus. He's the best 3-point shooter in the league, so he's always going to be a huge focus.
Great googly moogly. Is that it? Is that all we got from Mark Pope?
That was short. They cut him off like immediately. It's kind of weird because usually you can see him walk away or something like that, but now they cut him off.
Okay, well there you have it. Interesting. Okay, that was Mark Pope, brought to you by Ale81. Yeah, I actually had not written down anything super interesting. He had mentioned the transition stuff. It looked bad in real time when I was watching the game. Fast break points, Florida 24-4. Mark Pope is right to bring that up. That is bad, 24-4. And of course, Colin Chandler, he was second straight bad game. And I think you're seeing UK really struggle when he struggles. This Kentucky team just doesn't really have a ton of options. And in the preseason, we thought depth was going to be a strength of this team. Obviously, injuries certainly played a role in that. But you've got really three people that you can trust to go get baskets and go score. And Mo Diabate has done well as of late, especially this week in losing efforts, but he's not totally reliable, and he certainly can't stretch the floor, although did hit that three today. That was fun to see that one go in. But it's Oweh and Aberdeen and Chandler. And we're seeing that if one of those guys is off, it's not going to go well for Kentucky. And Todd Golden in his press conference, and you're listening to the Bud Light Kentucky postgame show here on ESPN 680, ESPN Louisville Plus on YouTube. Thanks to Justin Sofuro. I'm TJ Walker. You can slide into his DMs on X or Twitter at Justin Sofuro if you'd like to be in touch with the show. But you're seeing if one of these guys has an off night. Todd Golden mentioned Denzel Aberdeen. We know him well. He wasn't efficient tonight. 4 of 13. And Oweh with 28 points, his last game at Rupp Arena, both of those guys' last game at Rupp Arena, it took Oweh 21 shots to get to 28 points. And ultimately, you're happy with his performance tonight. But both of those guys, 12 of 34. If they're just solid, if they're good, if they have a good shooting night from an efficiency standpoint, Kentucky really has a real chance to win this game. If Colin Chandler just has a decent game, for anything but bad, and now he's 2 of 11 in his last 2 games? 2 of 11, I believe. If he's just decent, Kentucky is probably in this game. But it's always something. Every game is just, if this one thing had happened, maybe it's a little bit closer. If this one thing happened, maybe it's a little bit closer. But they just can't get it done. And again, I hate saying it, maybe injuries are legitimate. However, this team somehow beat Arkansas. They were able to beat Tennessee 2 times. They dominated Vandy just a week ago, and the offense looked a lot better. But you do sometimes just have to tip your cap to Florida. They are a better basketball team than Kentucky. They're more talented than probably at every position. Pretty darn close to it. All their starters score double digits, and they didn't shoot well, but it didn't really matter, unfortunately. All right, back to the Bud Light Kentucky post-game show. We've got Sherevel. Wow, how about that? Round Daddy, Sherevel, welcome on in. What's up, buddy? What'd you think? Another loss for Mark Pope.
Hey, TJ. Hey, Justin. I'm fresh off of the Tailspin L-Fest, but I'm feeling pretty good. Took it easy out there today, so got to watch the second half at home. Watched the first half of the Tailspin L-Fest, the ESPN Louisville 10th, and then came home, watched the second half. Listened to you guys. Great job, TJ, as always. Saw your boy Zach EC, the birthday boy, out there at Tailspin. How about that, TJ?
All right. Is the birthday boy having a good time? Was he getting after it? You said that you were taking it kind of easy, but hopefully Zachary was not. He was so excited about the wrestling, Sherevel.
Oh, yeah, the wrestling was fun. I have to admit, I did. The wrestling took my attention away from the UK game for a little bit. But, he wasn't going too hard yet. I don't know what our guy's up to right now. But hopefully he's celebrating his birthday the right way. So just, a couple of things about the game. I know what everyone's saying. The narrative leading up to this game was, Kentucky wins the games they're not supposed to, and they lose the games they're not supposed to. And I just didn't feel that this week. Florida's just too damn good. They're a number 5 team and in contention for a 1 seed for a reason. Across the board, you put it perfectly. They're just better at every position than Kentucky. That being said, you don't lose games to Texas A&M in the fashion that you lost to Texas A&M. You don't lose games to Auburn. You don't lose games to Georgia. If this team really had a pulse and really maybe could make a run in March, you don't lose to teams like that, bubble teams that just work harder than you. I get it. Florida's a behemoth. They're great. They're a legitimate Final Four team. So if you lose this game tonight, but you beat A&M and you beat Georgia and you beat Auburn, you don't feel as bad. But Mark Pope has this program going in the wrong direction. Playing on Wednesday is an absolute joke of an embarrassment. This is Kentucky basketball. We don't play on Wednesday. So, I would like Mitch Barnhart to take his $950,000 he's making the next 4 years, invest that into Mark Pope's buyout. Do one good thing, Mitch. One good thing on your way out. And get rid of Pope and get somebody else. I don't need Matt Jones crying on Twitter about Mitch Barnhart's money, because of him and Barnhart making things unsustainable for John Calipari and unworkable, we now have Mark Pope. I don't need to hear any of two of those clowns saying a word on X or Facebook or Instagram or anything. Bleep both those guys. Get them out of here.
Well, I was going to say, when you say Mitch Barnhart on his way out, where's he going? He's going on his front porch to eat some hay? He's the executive resident, buddy. He's getting $1 million. He ain't going nowhere, and neither is Mark Pope. And it's just not good times in UK athletics right now, Sherevel. And it's just hard to think about. A decade ago, we thought the Scalabissier year was like, all right, this was a bad year, guys. We only went to the second round. We lost to IU. Scalabissier was a bust, but we've got De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. That was only a decade ago, Sherevel. That was a bad year. Now it's back-to-back 10-8 seasons, and the first time in UK basketball history playing on Wednesday in the SEC tournament. Good night.
I give a pinky for Scalabissier right now. I'd cut off a pinky right now for Scalabissier. I would.
The tip? Would you give a tip?
Just the tip, Sofuro. Just the tip. No, you're exactly right, and it's abysmal. It's embarrassing, and you're right, TJ. Like, how long is this retirement tour going to last for Barnhart? I mean, he's not going anywhere. He's still going to be around. But we already had a retirement party yesterday. He's on until June. What else do we have to suffer through with this guy? You know, I thought he was like Grandpa, but he's the most cutthroat, lethal, greediest man in UK athletics. And he got snippy with a reporter to having the balls to ask the question about his $950,000 salary for being an executive assistant or whatever the hell made up position they gave him. He needs just to go away. But he's not. We're stuck with him. We're stuck with him. We're stuck with Mark Pope. We're stuck without a GM. And next year we have no recruits coming in. And who the hell in the portal looks at Mark Pope in Kentucky and thinks, oh, that's where I want to play. I want to play for that system. I want to be 10-8 in the SEC and have the entire fan base think that I'm a bum. That's where I want to go. The fans hate me. The national media thinks I'm a clown. I've got a coach that goes up there and calls everything beautiful and great and wonderful, and it's a great challenge. It's a beautiful challenge to play on Wednesday. I'm excited to tackle that challenge head on. But TJ, I'll let you go, man. Keep killing it, man. You do a great job. Thanks for letting me on, Sofuro and TJ, and you guys have a good night. I'll keep listening.
Sherevel, have a great Saturday, buddy. Thank you for the kind words, and thanks for taking some time and hopping on.
Don't condescend to me, Dykes.
Whoa, Jimmy Dykes, I think. But I appreciate all that. Mitch Barnhart yesterday, what Sherevel's referencing, getting snippy with the reporters, said the notion that this is golden parachute is falling from the ceiling and I'm going to sit in a rocking chair and eat hay is ridiculous garbage. And that notion that started by some 2 or 3 knuckleheads needs to end. Mitch, it's a lot more than 2 or 3 knuckleheads out there, buddy, and I'm a proud knucklehead. This is the Bud Light Kentucky postgame show, and we should be talking about Florida's 84-77 win over UK and not just dive into a Mitch Barnhart conversation. But I will say that I've been following UK athletics very, very, very closely for over 20 years. I've been paid to cover UK athletics in some capacity for over 15 years. Does that mean you were doing it for free? Yeah, I was like a sophomore in high school. Absolutely was doing it for free. This
hold up. TJ has frozen. We're going to try to work to get TJ back in here. Let me read some of these chats to see what's going on. TJ, if you can get that fixed on your end, I'm not sure if he can see me or not. Danny Grace comes in right now while we're waiting on for our guy TJ. He says, hey, Justin, tell Rig, if you're still listening, that some teams can beat ranked Florida teams on the road. Did BK get you pregnant today or just want to snort some? Wow, Kane. Okay, that is something that he said. I'm not sure that's something that I would have gone with, but that's his call. Just a sec. Let me work on TJ. Give me one moment. and we'll get him back on. There we go. He's going to call right back in. Actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get my man. Okay, here's TJ. He's back. He's back now. Okay, we did a little bit of little bit of swimming there, just trying to keep this thing going. But TJ's back. Something froze up on his end, but he looks good to go now.
Yeah, as long as you didn't read that Danny Grace tweet, that's fine. I'm sorry that I froze up, but as long as you didn't do that, we should be good.
I sure hope that's not. I hope that's not what happened.
No, I'm only kidding. I could hear you, and it was frozen on my just screen. But like I don't know, there's two little boxes of me, which is entirely too many TJs. One is quite enough. One on the bottom left, I was all right, but the main one, I was frozen. But I could hear you just fine, and everything was operating okay. So apologies for that. Hopefully no more hiccups. But if so, Justin, just be sure to let me know. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, reach out there. But the quote from Mitch Barnhart, I don't know where I broke up, but I'm one of the knuckleheads, and I was saying that this does feel like one of like the darkest times in UK athletics right now. And if they just hire within for Mitch Barnhart's replacement, if it's Eric Monday or it's the Rachel Baker lady, if they just hire within, and especially if it's the Baker lady with her ties to JMI, I don't know, folks. It almost feels like good night. Like maybe it'll end up working out in some sports, and maybe UK football and Will Stein will have some good seasons, and maybe Pope. But it'll just feel like the old guard is just transitioning to a new regime that has the same ideology, which is probably how it's going to work out. But I really wish they just go outside, get even Dwayne Peavy, who isn't my first choice necessarily. I don't even know who my first choice would be because we don't know who realistic candidates are. But I would love just somebody that's got some fresh ideas, isn't afraid to maybe take some chances. And anybody associated with the current athletic program or Mitch Barnhart is not doing those things. They will be incredibly conservative. They'll play by the NCAA rule book, and we'll make sure that and I'm not saying I want somebody to come in and just cheat their ass off, but I'm also saying that it's the wild, wild west right now. And are you about winning, or are you about just doing things by the book? And all I know is that in my lifetime, the two worst stretches of UK basketball, which are two of the worst stretches ever, have happened under Mitch Barnhart's watch. I'm sick of that. Other things are going well. He's built facilities. I could have been the athletic director. They couldn't pay the players. You had all this money. They had nothing else to do with the money. You had to build facilities. What, were you just going to sit on piles of cash in your office? No, he had to build facilities. So I don't give him any credit for that. Oh, he turned the football program around. He lost Rich Brooks because he couldn't even bullshit him and lie to him and say, I'll build you facilities. Just hang around. Rich Brooks came to him and said, listen, I've turned this thing around. I've got it above water now. I'm hosting recruits in a corner of a track and field indoor facility. I need something, just something to even look forward to, something to promise. And Mitch said, well, I don't want to lie to you, with his top button all the way buttoned up. I don't want to lie to you. And then Rich said, well, then I'm out, dude. I'm too old. I can go play golf and pick tomatoes and have an electric Twitter account for the rest of my days. I'm out. And Mitch said, you know what? All right, that's fine. All right, that's all right. Because I know we'll get Joker Phillips in here. And guess what? That was just like a year after that Mitch Barnhart had hired Billy Gillispie, or a couple of years after that Mitch Barnhart had hired Billy Gillispie. So good riddance, Mitch Barnhart. Seriously, good riddance. I'm really not thankful for much of any. Oh, great. The rifle program got some national championships. I love that volleyball's doing well. That's great. I like that baseball went to a College World Series, which, by the way, was the last SEC program to ever go to a College World Series. So it's about darn time. And since then, Louisville's even been back to one. So I didn't want to turn into a Mitch Barnhart rant. That's only about like 10% of what I've got for what it's worth. I could go longer and deeper. That's what she said. Let's go back to the phone lines. Luther, welcome into the Bud Light Kentucky postgame show. Florida 84, Kentucky 77. It's going to be the 10 seed for the Cats unless Oklahoma upsets Texas. But it'll be 10 seed Kentucky if they win against, I think, Ole Miss or LSU. Then they would play Georgia, I think is most likely, on that Thursday. And then if they win that on Friday, good night. 3 games. It'll be Alabama. Luther, what's up, buddy?
Well. Here we are at the end of the season, and that big boomer has Kentucky playing on Wednesday, has Kentucky 7 wins above Kansas, and no recruits, nothing to show for anything last year nor this year. I don't give a damn about Sweet 16. Vic Wolf, he hasn't been there since 19. And the dude who provided that got shipped off because of the knucklehead who caused us all knuckleheads to begin with. He's botched every major hire when it comes to football and basketball. He's a bum. Pope's a bum. His entire coaching staff's a bums. And it makes me sick. It makes all the fans sick. And here we all have to do is rant at the end of games because we're sick of the bullshit that's going on up there in Lexington. It's a joke. The bum, like I've said in the past, if you really love Kentucky, would just resign, but he doesn't have the nuts to do that, and he sets up in that press conference looking dumbfounded like he does on the sidelines. I mean, it wasn't 6 players on the floor of this game. It was, assistant coaches getting up telling the players to press while he just stood there looking up at the ceiling because he's a dumbass. It's sickening. Barnhart, he's gone, so that's great. Pope needs to be gone. It's not going to happen, and it's a shame. And, for us to have to live through this bullshit, it's a joke. We don't deserve it. The University of Kentucky doesn't deserve it. And it's just saying, speaking of Pitino, he threw that game in Atlanta. There's no doubt in my mind because of the heat that Pope was under, he threw that game. I went back and watched it. There's something where you got a 10, 12-point lead, and when Pitino, he just adds to that. And they didn't do squat. And there wasn't anything Kentucky was doing special. He's a bum. Pitino's still a bum. Loserville's a bum. And you all make me sick. And go to fucking hell, Pope. Late.
All right. Hope you could turn that down if the kiddos were listening. But I appreciate the emotion. And we're on the ESPN Louisville Plus, Justin, so I'm pretty sure that's okay. I'm not 100% sure.
No, that's good. No, that's this is what I want. I want my son, who I'm trying to raise to be a Louisville fan. I want him to experience this. This is what he needs. This is what I have. Little Luca is sitting here listening to Luther tell Mark Pope to go fuck himself. Is exactly what I need right now. So it's great. No, thank you, Luther. Thank you for that.
I think Sherevel brought it up. Luther brought it up, and I don't think they're doing it intentionally. And I hate to be like, well, technically, let me put my glasses up here. But we've now had multiple people say Mitch Barnhart out the door or with Mitch Barnhart going away. Dude, he's not going away. He's not going away. He's hanging around, and they're paying him $1 million to hang around. Now, he is not just chewing hay on the porch. Okay, so that's the good news here, is he's not just going to be sitting on the porch and chewing hay. What he is doing, nobody can explain it. Nobody. They even tried to do a whole press conference. And can I just tell you how bullshit it is, since we're just going to be a cursing post-game show today? Ooh, some sailor talk here. Can I just say how bullshit it is that they only allowed the original media members? Justin, did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? Did you see about this? Not to go all David Letterman on you.
No, did they go full Jurich on this? Is that what happened?
So I don't know if their initial intent was noble or not, but it's UK Athletics, so I've got some guesses here. But they say, hey, you know what? Mitch Barnhart started in 2002. The media members that were here in 2002, you all get to ask the first questions. Well, if anybody has had the displeasure of listening to Mitch Barnhart speak, he would filibuster with the worst politicians out there, which would be the best at the filibustering. I mean, he just talks and he just talks and he just talks. So I guess there were 5 media members there who were there in 2002. And they said, we'll let you all ask the first questions, which I'm all for seniority to a certain extent. But what the hell are we doing here? You are a public university, a major university, and you're going around saying, oh, okay, we've got old Grandpa Joe over here who was running his form of publication is no longer in existence anymore. They don't even make the technology for what he was doing back in 2002. Let's go ahead and let him ask the first question. Dude, let's get some real reporters in here asking questions. You have been in this university at the head position in athletics for 25 years, and now we're paying you $1 million to do what? Explain it to us. What are you going to be doing, and why are you worth that much money? And were you going to go somewhere else? Should we have been worried that if we didn't pay you, that you were going to go to another university and maybe work against us? But of course, it's corrupt, you all. It's just a scam, if nothing else. I mean, if anything, just do a sweetheart goodbye deal underneath the table like a good corrupt university does. Don't make up a fake position and then allow him to be like the poster child of that position. I'm really kind of sick of UK athletics, the university as a whole, honestly. And it's like, all right, this is the time you need some leadership, but that is the leadership. That's the leadership. And it's like UK continues to lose. Who cares there? Who is as upset as Luther is? Who's upset as I am and Sherevel is? It's just wild. It's just absolutely nutty to me. And it doesn't look like next season drastically looks better. You just hope that injuries aren't such a big factor, and that will help. That'll play a role. But you don't have any recruits. The JMI deal stinks to high heaven, and you're only locked up with that till like 2050. So that's the good news. At least you only have another 25 years of that deal. So it's not like, oh, wait, it's more just bullshit. All right. Anyway, sorry. Let's go to Braden. Braden, welcome in to the Bud Light Kentucky postgame show here on ESPN 680, ESPN Louisville Plus.
Oh my freaking gosh. Did I just listen to Pope say we make poor decisions when tired? Are you kidding me? We've been hearing the same old stuff for ever since he's joined the UK. Fatigue, tired, fatigue, tired. It is the same old shit. We're getting tired of it, all right? Like, going back to Big Blue Madness, if he says he's got the best coaching staff in college basketball, including the Spaces Planet, why are we whiffing on these players for? Why are we whiffing on Jackson and all these players? Like, then why are we down the first half every game? I don't know when the last time we've been down in the first half every game, been blown out in the senior night at Rupp Arena. Rupp Arena used to be haunted for these opponents. Now it's like freaking Chuck E. Cheese and Disneyland. It's like, all right, let's go. Beat us. Come on, let's go. That's what's happening. And our state is in shambles right now. It is sad, TJ. It is really sad that we have to go through this. And if Pope understands the assignment, then he has to grow a set of balls and find a GM that understands the program, knows the field, probably from the outside, or find one of those players like Jamal Mashburn. Like, he understands the program, but he won't. He won't get the players or anything. It's just sad. I mean, I hate if these fans paying $1,000 more for these games that we just get blown out in the first half and just get beat. I mean, it's just sad.
Braden, our buddy Wildcats Tongue tweeted this out. 3 or more SEC home losses in Rupp Arena, because you mentioned Rupp Arena there. in the history of Rupp Arena. They're celebrating 50 years at Rupp Arena. The first time it ever happened was 1988. So that's pretty crazy to think, Rupp Arena's around for that long. It goes, 20 years, 16 years, however long it is, before they ever have a season with 3+ losses. That's 1988. All right, it happens in 06 again. That's with Rajon Rondo and Patrick Sparks, and that team had a little bit of team turmoil to them. We don't have to dive into that, but that team wasn't all that great. They lost in the round of 32. It happens in Billy Gillespie's second year. He is fired shortly after that season in 2009. UK goes to the NIT that season. It happens in 2021. So it goes from 09 without happening to 2021, and that 2021 season was a nightmare. You had injuries, you had freshmen, you had COVID, people couldn't play, and it was a mess. Now, that being said, they were an 8 seed in the SEC tournament. Kentucky's a 10 seed this year. The 9 and 16 team was an 8 seed, and this team's a 10 seed. All right, so it happened in 23, it happened in 25, Pope's first year, and it happened in 26. So now, since the pandemic, it has happened 4 times that Kentucky has lost 3 or more conference games. Braden, that, again, I just read it off to you. That has not happened. That doesn't happen. And, yeah, some of that's on Cal. Some of that's on Pope. But Mitch Barnhart has been overseeing all of this stuff, and I'm so ready for, an actual change, an actual true change at the top of the athletic program. But it sounds like it's going to be an in-house hire. It's just going to be more of the same. So I'm not the most optimistic I've ever been, Braden, unfortunately.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean, it really is. And I wouldn't even count the COVID year because I don't think you count that because it's COVID. But all I'm seeing is that this will be our first time in school history playing on a Wednesday. On a freaking Wednesday? Oh, my gosh. And also on the top of that, when we keep losing these games that we're not supposed to lose, you got Kansas and some other programs are catching up with these all-time wins, and our all-time records are fading away. It's just sick. It's just sick to the state. It's sick to this program. I mean, there's no hope in Pope unless something changes. I mean, if he really understands the assignment, then he has to get it going because tradition does not take time. It does not. I mean, and also, we should not even have double-digit losses like the records at the University of Kentucky. I mean, it's pathetic. It's a catastrophe. I mean, you name it. I mean, there's no hope. I tell you that.
Yeah, Braden, I appreciate it. Have a great Saturday, and thanks so much for hanging out with us. If we're looking to be optimistic, it's you hit the portal hard, you get the top portal targets, you get Colin Chandler back, you get Malachi Marino back, and you feel like you have a top 15 or a top 10 roster going into the year. And I hate that you have to say this and it feels like you're having to roll the dice with this, but then you just have to hope that you stay healthy and you have to feel like, all right, we've got a good group of people and you just have to have, it's going to be toxic next year. Any loss, people are going to lose their minds because they're going to think that another one's coming and one's going to follow behind that. There have been far too many losing streaks. And I believe that they have lost 5 of their last 7 for Kentucky basketball. So things haven't been going too well lately. Let's just go straight back into the phone lines. And it's that easy. You DM Justin Sofuro, just like all these other callers have been in. I think this is the most we've ever had maybe on a Bud Light Kentucky.
I was about to say this is a hell of a caller night. Thank you guys. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight and just joining us here. Real quick, do you mind if I also just ask guys if they don't mind? Could you guys do me a favor? And we have a bunch of people watching YouTube, a bunch of people on Twitter, over 1,200 concurrent right now. Do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe on the YouTube channel. It really helps us to bring you more and more content like this down the way.
Hit that like button. Do what he says. And I thought on a Saturday night, people have kind of just checked out with this team a little bit. I didn't think, I was wondering how invested people would be, but we really appreciate it. And we'll be back at it on Wednesday for what it's worth. All right, John, welcome in. Bud Light Kentucky postgame show here on ESPN Louisville Plus.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it. We lost. Can't do a darn thing about it. Can't hang our heads on it all night long. You know what I mean? It sucks. A lot of people have called in, and rightfully so. Like you've always said, TJ, you can't tell someone how to fan them, and we've all been there where we've been overly stressed with this team, and not just this team, maybe even parts of last year and the tail end of Cal. So it's been kind of dark and gloomy for a while. I did want to ask some questions that pertain towards going forward, and it was from this game, so I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it, TJ. And if Justin's still listening, maybe he chime in a little bit too, since you don't have your partner in crime with you tonight. But I think it was Jimmy Dykes. Was he on the call tonight? Did I have that right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Don't condescend to me, Dykes.
Which he was on the call with Dickie V. Okay, so they kind of had a spat, not a spat. I don't want to say no one was arguing or nothing, but towards the end of that game, it was Kentucky's cut it to 10, and we've got a ball game, and then Dickie V, there's no moral victories in Kentucky, and all that. And God bless him. I mean, he's been doing this for years, and he deserves the right to say whatever he wants, and he's speaking the truth there. But it was weird to hear Jimmy kind of like take up for Kentucky a little bit. He kept pushing back at it. He was like, yeah, but Kentucky is giving Florida something they've never seen before, and Kentucky is going to be a hard out. What they're telling everybody right now is they're going to be a hard out in any tournament. And I was kind of surprised to hear that from Jimmy, because we know what Jimmy's done in the past, with his word and his rhetoric, how we felt about him goofiness and, whatever. So I guess I want to piggyback on that question, TJ. He said one thing he did say, too, is Kentucky's good is good enough. Okay? So that was kind of something he stuck in my head, and I was like, oh, Kentucky's good is good enough. And we can see that they're not so good is really bad. Or fall short. So if Kentucky can play as good as we have seen before, TJ, and I'm not saying it's been consistently, we know it hasn't, how hard of an out do you think they will really be in these tournaments coming up? And I know that sucks for us to say as fans. I know it sucks for us to get to this point, but guess what, guys, and everyone else on this radio show? That's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. So we can boo-hoo and cry all night, or we can try to find some type of silver lining here, TJ. So what do you think? Kentucky, as much as good as Kentucky has done sometimes and as good as they have been, that particular version of Kentucky with the players we currently have, not saying anybody's coming back or not, but those versions of players and as good as that's been, how far can that version go? And I guess it's going to depend on matchups, but what do you think the best hypothetical is in your opinion on what they could do?
What do you think, John? And I'll answer. And if you've got anything else, and we'll let you go. But what do you think first, and then any other quick hitter, and I'll take it from there.
Yeah, I think honestly, if we can see as good as we've seen, where they beat Tennessee twice, and let's be honest here, yeah, no moral victories, but this is the second time they took Tennessee down to a few possessions in the game left, down 5-6 points. Most teams are not like that for Florida. That's truthful. So the best version of Kentucky, though, beating Arkansas, beating Tennessee's, the play they did against Vandy, that type of Kentucky, I think that team can go to at least the Sweet 16 if they play that level, though, TJ. It's got to be that level. If it's anything less, it's 32 or first round. I mean, that's the truth. But that's the way I feel. SEC tournament-wise, same thing. They can get the first 2 victories if they can play that level. That Alabama game you mentioned, I think you said might be the third game, TJ. If they're playing that level, I don't know, maybe, but we'll see. But that's where I'm at. That's what I think, and that's all I have for tonight.
John, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hope you have a good weekend. A lot of times we're able to get into some silliness with you, but this has been a banger of a postgame show. Sherevel calling in especially. You can go back and listen to this on YouTube. We'll be sure, I think, to get this posted on the podcast page. I know
yes, sir.
Previous ones. All right, good deal. So you can listen to podcasts as well, but go back and listen if you had to miss any of this, and appreciate everybody that's hanging out with us here on this Saturday. The season winding down, the regular season officially over. So we've only got a few more of these. I guess best case scenario with Kentucky playing on Wednesday is they could rattle off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 SEC tournament wins. And then to win a national championship, obviously it'd be 6 there. So we could have 11 more of these. Sofuro, why not? I don't see any reason why not. Of course, I'm being facetious. The reason being this is not a good Kentucky team. And John, they'll win on Wednesday. I'll tell you how it's going to go. They'll win on Wednesday in the SEC tournament. I'm fairly certain that they will play Georgia on that Thursday. They'll win that one. I know Georgia kind of handled Kentucky at Rupp Arena, but it's hard to beat a decent team twice, kind of, sometimes not really. Florida made it look pretty easy, all things considered. But I think Kentucky will win that one. And then they'll play Alabama on Friday, which out of the 1 seeds or the teams with the byes, I think it's going to be, oh man, is Vandy going to end up getting that tiebreaker over Tennessee? How's that going to shake out? Well, regardless, they're both going to play each other one way or another. But whether it was going to be Tennessee, Alabama, Arkansas, or Florida on that Friday, you probably would pick Alabama out of the bunch. Yes, you did win at Arkansas, but they would be out for revenge, and Calipari and A-Cup. That would probably be pretty difficult. Florida's just the best team of the bunch there. Tennessee, you'd have to beat them a third time again. Without a mint, that would be doable. That's probably the choice. But Alabama, they're good. Philon is liable to go for 40 points against Kentucky. But if Kentucky can get to Friday, who knows? But the issue is, and I don't remember which caller brought it up. Maybe it was Braden. But Mark Pope talking about fatigue, they are fatigued. They are. He is not lying when he says that. Now, the issue is it's annoying. And it's like, why are you fatigued? And don't be fatigued, right? Like that. Why are these D1 athletes? Why is the SEC preseason player of the year? Why are they so tired? And you could be saying, well, TJ, how do you know that they were fatigued? I mean, just look at them. They look tired. They put their hands on their knees any chance that they get. They bend over. They're sucking down air like there's no tomorrow. And then how many jump shots hit the front of the rim today? Holy smokes. And especially Otega Owe and Denzel Aberdeen as well. They just were short on everything, which it could just be an off shooting night. This team, unfortunately, has plenty of them. But more likely, they just didn't have their legs. And that's a sign of a tired team, is teams that miss shots short. And this team did that frequently. So fatigue is a huge factor. The good news is, hey, go appease your fan base and go win, 4 games in 4 days, 3 games in 3 days. What would make Kentucky fans satisfied with their SEC tournament showing? And I think it just, regardless, you have to get to Saturday. It has been since 2019 since Kentucky has played on Saturday or won on Saturday. Did they play in 2021 or not 2021? 2022, did they play on Saturday? Regardless, it's just unacceptable how bad your showings in the SEC tournament have been. People used to just bank on vacations to Nashville. All right, well, we'll get down there on Thursday, go to the game on Friday. Oh, well, what if it's the early game? Or what if it's the late? Oh, it's the late game, so we can leave on Friday. People would just set their watches to this stuff. Kentucky starting on Friday, at least playing on Saturday, and most likely you'd be spending the whole weekend there. And it's just, I was saving this for the end, but I'll just go ahead and get into it now. And then we'll hit some superlatives and we'll wrap this bad boy up.
Do you mind if I say one thing real quick?
Yeah,
just before you move on. Just with John's point, and that's like my biggest problem with, like, I guess this Kentucky team is in general that talking about being worn out, talking about being exhausted, that fatigue. That's why you can't have any faith in this team. No, I mean, outside of all the other stuff that the team does. But at the same time, like, there are those moments where you have one big game where they come out and look like the talent that Kentucky supposedly has on paper. They can do that for one game. The problem is you can never get more than 2. You're definitely probably not getting 3 games in a row. So that's why, like, maybe you can get out of the first weekend. I just don't see it, especially once you go against a team that is, you're talking about anybody that is a the 6th seed and above. I just don't see that Mark Pope's going to be able to coach, them further than that at that point in the season, unless there's some kind of miracle that happens. So and then that's it. It was kind of a point, useless point, but that's to John's question. That's
no, and well said. And it actually kind of reminded me of, I don't think I technically answered John's question of where I think this team can go. So I'm glad that you kind of brought it back to that. And the Vandy game was the outlier, but this team just can't really blow teams out, and that's really tough in March. Now the good news is they've played a lot of close games. They're battle tested, if you will. They're going to be familiar, but they're going to be in a close game in the first round. They're not going to blow out their opponent, and I don't think they're going to get blown out, but it'd be more likely that they would get blown out than them doing the blowing out, just because that's what we've seen from this group. So my guess is, whether they're an 8 seed, a 9 seed, a 10 seed, and that's my guess of where they're at as of today. And my goodness, if you just didn't get so ice cold to finish the year, Justin, this team was 8-3 in the SEC, and they finished the SEC slate 10-8. And it's not like they only had the schedule did get a little bit tougher, but you got to play an A&M team that's on the bubble. You got to play South Carolina, which you took care of. You got to play an Auburn team that's on the wrong side of the bubble. You lost to Georgia at home. Like, those are games you should have won. Those are games you need to win. And I know I threw South Carolina in there, and that was a win. But you were 8-3 in the SEC. And quite frankly, looking like a 6 seed was a lock, a 5 seed, a 4 seed, those seeds would be possible for Kentucky. That was on the table for you. A double bye in the SEC. If you won today, I mean, for how crappy things have gone, you still win today. You get a double bye in the SEC tournament. So I'm not all that mad about a loss to Florida. Florida is a better basketball team than Kentucky. They have better players. That's an issue. My issue is just bigger picture issues. Why is Florida so much better than you? Why were you struggling with the Georgias and the Auburns of the college basketball world? How far back is this program? So this team, they'll be in the game in the first round, and then I bet they'll be in the game in the round of 32, whether they're playing a 1 seed or a 2 seed or a 3 seed. That one's going to be a bit more matchup based or driven, but they'll lose there. This team's not going to a Sweet 16. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Is it going to happen? No, it's not going to happen. So I'd say the ceiling on this team is the round of 32. If you get one NCAA tournament win on that Thursday or Friday, live it up and enjoy it, because it very well could be the last one. So I'm thinking 2 or 3 SEC tournament wins, and then I'm thinking 1 NCAA tournament win, and that's probably going to be it. And then the little rant I was going to get in, folks, I can't stress it enough. Like, it is a red flag on a red flag on a red flag. Do not get into the ocean. Things are really wrong with UK basketball. And I really think things are really wrong with UK athletics, for what it's worth. And getting a new athletic director should be a time of excitement and turning a new page. And yeah, maybe a little nerve-wracking, a little nervous because the unknown that comes with it. But you should be excited about that stuff. It should be a new day. And it doesn't feel that way with Mitch Barnhart. It doesn't feel like the basketball program's moving in the right direction with Mark Pope leading the charge. Playing on Wednesday in the SEC tournament for Kentucky basketball is totally embarrassing. It is. And even though you were 1 game away from playing on Friday and it was just a really tight-packed SEC, and one thing, just side note, away from my bitching and my ranting here, side note, I am sick of Kentucky playing the most difficult SEC schedule every year. Maybe that's just whining and that's just a loser mentality, but I'm sorry, can we play South Carolina twice in the SEC? Can we play Ole Miss twice in the SEC? It's always Florida, it's always Tennessee, and it's always Vandy. And while I normally welcome those games, it matters. And now, partially because of it, Kentucky's playing on – and you actually did well in those games. Well, you went 500 in those games. So you went 500 in those games. But Kentucky plays a more difficult SEC schedule than anybody else does year in and year out. That happens every single year. Yes, it's a little bit of me whining, but it is just factually true. Can we get a break in the SEC schedule 1 year? My goodness, the program sadly needs it. But no, folks, this is not okay. It's just not okay. It's not all right. for Kentucky back-to-back years in the SEC to go 10-8. Kentucky hasn't done anything in the SEC tournament, as I already said. It's bad. Zero recruits coming in. And I do think there's a portion of this fan base that is, hey, get this season over with, and then things will be better. What if he doesn't do well in the portal? What if Kentucky – he didn't do well in the portal last year. We convinced ourselves just with the depth of the pieces that we were excited going into the year, but we had shooting concerns. We said that going in, and we did have some star power concerns. We thought Ortega was going to be good enough, and he's really, really good. Make no mistake about it. But the way that he has to go about being really, really good is a lot of shots, and it's a lot of driving, and you be better off when you have shooters around him, and this team just didn't have the shooters around him. But missed on their top big target in the portal, their top wing target in the portal, their top guard target in the portal, their top several guard targets in the portal. They had to go way down the list before they settled on Jalen Lowe, and that obviously didn't work out for Kentucky. So what if it's not good in the portal again? What if we go into next season knowing that you lost it in the offseason again? It's not good. It's not good. And you know what? One little dose of positivity here, because it's been a mostly negative show as Kentucky loses. And this is the Bud Light Kentucky postgame show on ESPN 680, ESPN Louisville Plus. Justin Sofuro producing the hell out of this thing. I'm TJ Walker. The one little maybe potential silver lining, well, I mean, I even regret saying this. You may get an earlier start on the portal, but you need to already have your ducks in a row in the portal as the way things are set up right now.
Well, and that's the thing. You don't want to play in a national title. Saban, I hate playing the national championship because that puts you behind. Puts you behind the eight ball. You don't get to go out there and recruit. We got players to get for next year. It's a good thing. It's a good thing you don't have to worry about a national championship. Louisville fans do. It's a good thing we don't have to worry.
It's not a good thing, but if you're going to have a miserable season and you are going to have a make or break season, there's really just no excuses to not kill it in the portal. There will be no excuses not to have a good portal run, and us Kentucky fans to not really, really like the roster and the team going in to next season. All right, let's go ahead and hit some superlatives. Your Twin Peaks player of the game, eats, drinks, and scenic views for the last time at Rupp Arena. It was Otega Oweh, 28 points, a game high, and certainly a team high. Hey, I love the perfection from the free throw line. 8 of 8 for Otega. That was great. Also, 5 rebounds. That was second in the game for Kentucky. We'll get to some rebounding numbers here, but he had 28, 5, and only 1 turnover, which I thought was good. Kentucky did a lot of things well enough, or at least good enough, competitive enough to win this game. Only 9 turnovers was solid. You can live with that. But Otega Oweh was your Twin Peaks player of the game, 28 points. We'll miss him in a Kentucky jersey. I feel bad. I wish the roster was constructed a little bit better this season for Otega. More similar to last year, for what it's worth, as a matter of fact. But he was the preseason SEC Player of the Year. He will not win SEC Player of the Year. Unfortunately, Kentucky's record, you're not going to give it to the 10 seed. But it'll probably go to Acuff, I think. But he's in the conversation. He had a hell of a year, a great year. He finished it off strong. I wish it could have been in a winning effort, but he is your Twin Peaks player of the game. Otega Oweh, 28 points. KPG Glass, who hit the glass? So Kentucky got dominated in Gainesville on the glass, and Florida, in my opinion, has the best front court. Florida or Michigan, they're right up there. Duke's obviously is really good. You can't go wrong with any 3 of those front courts. Arizona's good as well. But Florida's is just deep, and they're big, and they swallow you up, and they're strong, and they're long, and all the other adjectives that could get you in a little bit of trouble depending on how you use them.
Yeah,
a little sexual, a little borderline sexual. But by the way, that was Valentine's Day. Kentucky was 8-3 in the SEC, and somehow they finished the SEC season 10-8. Oh, that just can't happen, Mark Pope. Anyways, they got crushed on the glass in Gainesville. I think out-rebounded by 13 or 14, if I remember correctly. They lose the rebounding battle today, but it was a lot more competitive. 41-40. That's better. And by the way, Kentucky's leading rebounder on the team was team rebounds, 8 team rebounds, just dead ball rebounds for different reasons or another. But Malachi, if we're talking actual humans, Malachi Marino and Mo Diabate both with 6 for Kentucky. KPG Glass, who hit the glass. All right, 41-40. So better effort there. Again, you were competitive on the glass. You only had 9 turnovers in the game. If you just don't have such a bad half where you're down 17 points, Sofuro, and this is now made at like 43% of games against Power 5 opponents that Kentucky has been down 15 points or more. You're playing on Wednesday in the SEC tournament, and you've been down 15 points or more in the majority of your games this season against about half of your games this season. You've been down 15. It's not even like it's just bad. It's not even close. It's just not even close. That's very disappointing where Kentucky basketball is at right now. Hey, Lanning's Paint, points in the paint. We mentioned that I mentioned how great Florida's front court was. They did win the battle in the interior 38-32. That's pretty competitive for Kentucky. UK, they struggled against Florida's size in Gainesville. They struggled again tonight, but that's competitive enough against a legit title contending team. I just hate that the conversation just ultimately comes back to like, well, yeah, Florida's just better than you are, and you played them. It's not moral victory because you lost, and nobody's saying that it's okay, but you just kind of have to call it like you see it. Florida has better players. The fact that Kentucky was within 6 points in the interior battle, that's decent. That's decent. So I hate that that's where we're at. That's where we're at. I mean, it's literally painful for me to say all this stuff. All right. It can be painful if you get in an accident, but Barnes Auto Service will take care of it. Things you'd like to see fixed, reliable repairs from bumper to bumper at Barnes Auto Service. You can go to barnesautoservice.com. Check them out, barnesautoservice.com. Oh, I mentioned it earlier. 24-4 fast break points for the Gators. There you go. You got to be better in transition. And I respect, Todd Golden's a weirdo. Everybody knows it. Everybody agrees. But I love the way Florida plays. I love the way his team plays. I always have. Even, back when people were the narrative about Golden going into last year was, I don't think he'd ever been out of the first weekend. He can't win. He doesn't know how to win in March. It's like until you do. You don't know how to win in March until you do. And then he got the right team. They play a fun style, but they're relentless. As soon as the opposing team makes a basket, Florida is pushing the pace, and they're pushing the ball, and they're moving. And if you're doing any sort of goofy, dumb celebrations or hanging on the rim or doing anything, Florida's already down on the other end and either dunking it or shooting a three. So they push the pace. You got to be ready for that. How is Kentucky consistently having such terrible first half stretches in these games? What are you doing in scouting report? What are you doing in game prep? And then once again, you blink and Florida's up 11-0 on you. But they just controlled the tempo. They controlled the pace. And then when Kentucky made their comeback is when things got muddied up the most there in the second half. And Florida went cold. But I just they won the fast break game 24-14. And that's my Barnes Auto Service basketball fix. Just be better where you need to be better. You knew Florida was going to do that. You didn't have an answer for it. You didn't stop them. You didn't slow them down. So game prep. There's my Barnes Auto Service basketball fix. Being more prepared. Stop having terrible stretches that debatably cost you the game in the first half. Be ready. And that's all on the coaches. Okay, let's do the SEC conference standings delivered by Louisville Ladder. Built to be above. Oh boy, this is where we really miss that Cantrell. Nobody could read the SEC conference standings quite like that guy. Florida wins the conference. They're going to end up winning the conference by 3 games. Hey, that's what Kentucky did in 2020, the last time that they won the conference. They're in first place. This is going to be Arkansas. Alabama, if they win today, will tie Arkansas. They will get that tiebreaker. Vandy is 11-7. They are fourth. Tennessee, 11-7. A&M, 10-7. Right now, they're in a battle with LSU. I thought that line was a little stinky today. I thought it was a little strange. A&M was only given 2.5 points on the road at LSU. They were trailing for at least the majority of the second half. I've had it on in the background since I've been doing the postgame show. They are up 3 now, though, with 88 seconds to play in the game. LSU's shooting free throws, missing free throws at that. All right, they make the second one. It's a 2-point game with 88 seconds left. So if you just like exciting March finishes, that could be one. But A&M right now sits at 10-7. Georgia finishes conference play with a win in Starkville. They're 10-8. Missouri 10-8. Kentucky 10-8. If Texas beats Oklahoma, Kentucky will be the 10 seed in the SEC tournament. They will start their journey on Wednesday at 7 o'clock, taking on likely Mississippi. Travis Perry in Mississippi will likely be the opponent. Now, if LSU were to get this win and pull off the upset, that would change. I just don't know exactly who it would be, but I would figure that out for you here in a little bit. We've got Auburn at 7-10. How did Kentucky lose to them? Just still embarrassing. Well, the refs kind of cheated in that one, but still should have never been in that position. Oklahoma 6-11. Mississippi State 5-13. South Carolina 4-14. Ole Miss losing at home today to South Carolina 4-14. And then South Carolina could be, LSU could be bringing up the rear. They're 3-14 right now, but did just tie it up for what it's worth. So they've got that going for them. Hey, we love our friends at UPS. You can go to upsjobs.com/worldport for all the best jobs. You can join the shift at UPS. Apply today. That is upsjobs.com/worldport. All the best jobs is what they say. An exciting finish here, a slight distracting finish. LSU has the ball, shot clock off with a chance to win it. I won't do the play-by-play because, legally I don't think I'm allowed to. But they take a timeout anyways. Good. That's probably best for all parties. Let's do this top 25 scoreboard brought to you by UPS Jobs. Duke, number 1 team in the country, currently up 14 on North Carolina. They were big favorites in that one, I think 17.5. So potentially well on their way to a cover there. Number 22, Miami goes down on the road. Justin Sofuro, very happy. My wife also happy. Those two things unrelated, strictly specific to the basketball game, of course. But Louisville, that's a without Mikel Brown. Big win for the Cards.
I hate to throw out the take. Is Louisville better with Woolley instead of Mikel right now? I don't know. Are they better?
Dude, Miami just really could not stop you all. They could not stop you all. Yeah. Even when things weren't going your way and they were making a run, I was just thinking, things were coming so easy for U of L throughout that game. And then whoever hit that big three when you all were down 1, that took some stones to knock that one down. So big win for you, buddy. I'm happy that you're having a good Saturday. I'm glad my wife's having a good Saturday.
Thanks.
Florida beats Kentucky 84-77. The number 5 Gators sweep UK. Not what we're looking for. Houston, number 7, goes on the road in a tight one, beats Oklahoma State 82-75. Virginia beats rival Virginia Tech in a tight one, 76-72. Arkansas, without Darius Acuff, goes on the road and beats Missouri in overtime, 88-84. That was a wild game, a fun one, a big one. Everything went UK's way. Everything that needed to happen in the SEC happened for UK besides winning, besides UK actually taking care of business themselves. And being down 17 at the half, obviously, didn't help your cause. LSU and A&M going to overtime, by the way. Marquette upsets UConn, and that's why Florida is going to get the number 1 seed is the Huskies. That's a terrible loss for UConn. And they've had some head scratchers, by the way. If you're talking about one of the top 1 or top 2 seeds to maybe go out early, they could be a candidate. They've just been wonky for whatever reason. They have a ton of talent, but that's a strange loss, a bad loss, and probably moves the Gators to a number 1 seed and UConn back to the 2 seed. Iowa State beats Arizona State 86-65. Kansas beats rival Kansas State 104-85. That probably moves them, 5 games in the all-time wins lead? I think 4 or 5 games. So if UK could make a run in the SEC tournament, I don't think they're going to. They could get a chance to maybe help that win total, because Kansas will only be getting a chance, I think, at 3 in the Big 12 tournament, maybe 4th. I don't know if they got the double bye or not. Probably did. No, they almost certainly did. They had to have. So they would only get a chance at 3 games. Kentucky could play 3 games and only not even make it to the weekend potentially. It's just wild stuff. I really can't believe it. Vanderbilt goes on the road and beats Tennessee 86-82. Wisconsin, with maybe the upset of the day, goes to Purdue and gets a win 97-93. George Mason upsets St. Louis by 29 points. Wow, that's a bad loss for the Billikens. 57, or George Mason 86, St. Louis 57. Later tonight in the Iron Basketball, Alabama, they're 6.5-point favorites over Auburn. I don't know. That doesn't seem like enough points. I think Alabama is going to crush them. BYU versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech on the road to BYU for BYU Senior Day. BYU given 2.5 points in that one. And then if you're up at 11 o'clock tonight, number 2 Arizona travels to Colorado to take on the Buffaloes. Arizona 13.5-point favorites there. Okay, Justin, you can participate in this one. What to watch, presented by Boom Boss Pizza and Watch Bar Pizza, beer, and sports. What are you looking forward to watching tonight? It could be a movie. It could be, it doesn't have to. You could be a book that you want to read. What are you looking for this evening, Justin?
Is there anything that I really look forward to right now? Honestly, everything I would be saying, but the season ended, was the A Night of the Seven Kingdoms show. I did finish it though, so now I do.
Incredible season.
I don't know how deep you got into Game of Thrones back in the day and all that stuff, but there's a guy called Alt Shift X, and he kind of breaks everything down, talks about the books. You know what? This is nerdy stuff. This is what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to be watching his recap of it. That's what I'm going to be doing. It's sad. It's what my wife and kids are out of town. This is what your boy's doing tonight. I'm living.
I don't like gloat about this sincerely, but Nick Roush and myself, we had Kentucky Thrones Radio. We had a Game of Thrones podcast, and it was like it was oddly very popular. I'd sometimes we wouldn't get recognized, but we did a Game of Thrones trivia at KS Bar, and the line was out the door because people are just such big nerds. So myself included. You're in good company. I've already watched the Alt Shift X video. It's great.
You beat me to it. Okay, yeah. So you're another level than me. You were ready.
Yeah, I was a book reader, but I actually didn't read Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It was actually the lone Game of Thrones book I didn't read. I read even the stupid Targaryen history book. This was a decade ago.
No, I got them. I was doing
before kids. But those videos crack me up, Justin, because you'll be watching and they'll be like, now, if you see in the background here, that's a fish, which is for the Tollies, which that is interesting because the Tollies wouldn't be at this wedding unless, and it's just dude, how in the fuck would I know this unless impossible to know this. Those videos are insane. I love them.
It's a level of lore. The problem, he disappears, doesn't do a video for a long time, so I don't know how those channels, he gets millions of views, but I don't know how he sustains unless he's doing it on other things too. But he breaks down so many different little facets. I'm a nerd, Star Wars, all this kind of stuff. But just to be able to know that, I don't know even where you would get that outside of the source material. And now I have Jason Ince texting me. So yeah, so the nerds are all gathering. Big blue nerds.
Ince and I, we would always talk Game of Thrones, but I've enjoyed, and he still talks Night of the Seven Kingdoms with me, but I haven't read the book. So he is kind of my source with this stuff. And it's been fun. He's been no, they were totally true to the books. And I've really enjoyed that show. Totally bingeable. If you haven't seen any Game of Thrones or House of Dragons, you don't really need to see it to get into Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Episodes are about 30 minutes. So you can really just blitz through them. They've only had one season. It just finished, and it was a hell of a season. So you watch that.
You'll love really what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewatch episode 2 because you just see the old dude naked.
The dog?
Yeah, the giant dog.
So
was that prosthetic? Was that real?
That was the topic of conversation in my friend group. And we were joking. We were just imagine the casting call if it was real, just being all right, dude, this guy was an awesome actor, but we're only working with 4 inches here. It's just that one scene, he's not going to be nearly good enough. And they're damn it, he was so good. All right, bring in the next guy. And they're well, this guy is a horrible actor. Schlong, you just wouldn't believe this schlong he's got. Hired. You're in. It was almost certainly prosthetic, right? Had to be.
As another man, I'm like, I'm hoping. I'm hoping because my wife's not nearly as happy. or maybe she's happier that it's not like that. I don't know. Anyway, this is what the Big Blue Kentucky post-game show has devolved into. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
So UK did lose. They will be getting no buys in the SEC tournament. Not a single buy, not a double buy, no buys at all. Bye for this UK basketball season. But we'll wrap up.
They got hit with the prosthetic dong. That's what happened tonight. That's
to wrap things up, or to answer the question, Michigan State, Michigan tomorrow. Hey, Boom Boss, I'm excited for Michigan State, Michigan tomorrow. That's what I'm excited at Boom Boss with their amazing beer selection, great, incredible pizza, good calzones, underrated calzones. And I love they've got, what is it, like Boom Hot, the hottest, spiciest sauce that they have. Mm-hmm. It's not the spiciest sauce that you're ever going to get. Other, wing places are going to probably have some spicier, but it's a spicy, flavorful sauce, which I can respect the hell out of that. They're not just like being spicy for spicy sake. They're a spicy, good sauce. So I love Boom Boss. Michigan State, Michigan tomorrow at 4:30 on CBS. They're going to have the CBS March Madness music. You're a week out for some Election Sunday. It's going to really hit in, feel like March. And March is so much better when Kentucky feels like a big player to cut down the nets. And we just don't have that this year, and that stinks. But you know what? I'm going to enjoy it all the same. And who knows? The Cats will get started on Wednesday. Unless Oklahoma upsets Texas, the Cats will be a 10 seed taking on in this LSU A&M game still going on. But probably Ole Miss, likely Ole Miss, I think. Ole Miss or LSU on Wednesday, 7 o'clock. We'll be doing the post-game show right around 9. It'll be my birthday. Spend my birthday with me. Oh boy, that's a sad way to spend. Oh boy. Okay. You know what? I'm in my mid-30s, so whatever. And then if Oklahoma were to upset Texas, which has been a weird day, who knows what's going to happen, then Kentucky would be the 9 seed, and they would play again. It would be LSU or Ole Miss. I'm not 100% sure exactly which one it would be. And then I don't know. I think they play Texas on that Thursday. And then if they were to make it through those 2 games, they would play Florida on that Friday. That'd be coming out of the 1 o'clock slate on Wednesday. So it's either 7 o'clock on Wednesday or 1 o'clock on Wednesday. And odds are very, very high likelihood that it's going to be 7 o'clock as the 10 seed for the first time in UK basketball history. Hope everybody has a great Saturday and a great weekend. Thanks for spending it with me. Better days ahead for UK basketball, but I don't know when. That's the scary thing. Everybody be well. We'll see you on Wednesday.